Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're tackling a pretty sweet topic today, diving deep into the world of becoming a sugar refinery operator.
That's right. It's a career path that's gaining more and more attention these days. And for good reason.
Now, we know you're serious about acing that interview, so we've dug deep into some research materials to give you the edge.
We're talking about real insights, folks, not just sugarcoating it.
Exactly. And one thing that's caught my eye is this platform, RoleCatcher. Their whole AI-powered approach to interview prep seems like a game changer. Have you had a chance to explore it?
Oh, yeah, RoleCatcher is pretty impressive, especially their AI-powered CV resume builder. Talk about taking the guesswork out of presenting your skills and the interview question database. It's like having a crystal ball, but for job interviews.
Okay, so let's put ourselves in that interview hot seat. First question, and it always seems to come up. What inspired you to become a sugar refinery operator? Seems straightforward, right? But how do we make our answers stand out?
It's all about passion. Instead of just listing off facts, think about what genuinely drew you to this field. Maybe a childhood memory sparked your fascination with the science of sugar. Or maybe it's the sheer scale and precision of the industrial process itself. Let that passion shine through.
So it's about telling your unique story, and RoleCatcher can actually help you refine that story right.
100%. Their AI can analyze your responses and make sure you're highlighting the specific experiences and skills that this particular employer is looking for. It's like having a personalized career coach in your back pocket.
Now, that's smart. Okay, next question. What do you think are the most important skills for a sugar refinery operator? This one feels like it goes beyond just technical know-how
You hit
or...
the nail on the head. It's about showcasing a balance of hard and soft skills. Obviously, knowledge of the equipment is key: evaporators, crystallizers, centrifuges, but don't underestimate the power of teamwork, problem solving, and of course, a strong safety mindset, especially in a refinery setting. That's critical.
Absolutely. So how do we effectively communicate those skills to the interviewer? Should we just rattle off a list?
Instead of just listing them, think about concrete examples from your past experience that really demonstrate those skills in action. Let's say you streamlined a process at your previous job, or maybe you identified a potential safety hazard and took steps to correct it. Those real-world examples pack a much bigger punch.
Stories stick. Okay, let's talk about quality control. The interview question. How do you ensure quality control in the sugar refining process? This one sounds like it requires some specific knowledge, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. Here's where your research on the sugar refining process really comes into play. You'll want to be ready to talk about specific quality control methods used in the industry. Think bricks testing, colorimetry.
Bricks testing,
That's the
colorimetry. Okay, you're speaking my language. For those of us who haven't spent much time in a sugar refinery, break those down for us.
Sure. So bricks testing, that's all about measuring the sugar concentration in a solution. It's a key indicator of the sugar's purity and how the refining process is progressing. And then there's colorimetry. It's used to assess the color of the sugar, because believe it or not, the hue of the sugar can tell you a lot about its quality.
Fascinating. It's amazing how much science goes into something we often take for granted. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Let's talk about troubleshooting. The question, how do you troubleshoot equipment malfunctions in a sugar refinery? Now, this one sounds a bit intimidating.
It can be, but it's also a fantastic opportunity to showcase those problem-solving skills. When answering this, start by outlining your methodical approach. Do you begin by checking for obvious issues? Consult the equipment manuals, maybe reach out to more experienced colleagues for guidance. Lay out your process.
And a real-life example probably goes a long way here, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Think back to a time when you successfully diagnosed and fixed a mechanical issue. It doesn't have to be from a sugar refinery specifically, but the more relevant the example, the stronger the connection you'll make with the interviewer.
And this is where RoleCatcher's database could be a game changer, right?
Yeah.
Being able to practice answering these kinds of questions with AI-powered feedback, that's invaluable.
It's like having a secret weapon in your back pocket.
Yep.
RoleCatcher helps you refine your answers and provides tailored insights on what resonates with hiring managers in this specific field. It's amazing.
Okay, on to another critical aspect, safety. The question, how do you maintain safety standards in a sugar refinery? This one feels incredibly important given the nature of the work, wouldn't you agree?
You better believe it. Safety is paramount in any industrial setting. In sugar refineries, it's not just about knowing the safety protocols, it's about living and breathing them. lockout procedures for machinery, proper handling of
Yeah,
chemicals.
it's about demonstrating that unwavering commitment to safety. So how do we get that across effectively in an interview?
A concrete example can be really powerful here. Think about a time when you identified and addressed a potential safety hazard, even if it seemed minor. It shows you're proactive.
Being proactive, that's key. Okay, next up, how do you prioritize tasks when working in a sugar refinery? I imagine it's a fast-paced environment.
You're telling me. Especially during peak production periods, when you're answering this one, focus on showcasing your ability to stay organized and manage your time effectively. Maybe you swear by to-do lists, or you prioritize tasks based on urgency, or perhaps you're a master of breaking down large tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks. Whatever your strategy, share it.
It's all about showing them you can handle the heat even when things get a little syrupy.
Love the analogy. And if you've used any specific project management tools or techniques in the past, don't be shy about mentioning them.
Great point. Okay, next question revolves around regulations. How do you ensure compliance with food safety regulations in a sugar refinery? This one seems absolutely crucial.
Couldn't agree more. Food safety is non-negotiable. Here, you'll want to demonstrate your understanding of HACCP principles, hazard analysis, and critical control points, and how they apply to the sugar refining process.
Okay, so break it down for me. What does applying those principles actually look like in this role?
Imagine this. You're responsible for overseeing a specific stage of the refining process, like evaporation. Applying HACCP means you're constantly thinking about potential hazards like bacterial growth and implementing controls to prevent them, such as ensuring the temperature is maintained within a specific range. It's all about being proactive and identifying and mitigating risks to food safety.
So it's a preventative approach, ensuring that the final product is safe for everyone to enjoy. And from what I understand, RoleCatcher's AI can even provide feedback on how well you're articulating your understanding of these crucial aspects.
Exactly. It goes beyond just using the right buzzwords. It analyzes your answers to make sure you're genuinely grasping the underlying concepts and conveying them clearly. It's incredibly helpful.
That's amazing. Okay, let's move on to the next question.
It's all about staying ahead of the curve, right? The industry's always evolving. And the question, how do you stay current with industry trends and advancements in sugar refining technology? Well, it's a chance to show you're in it to win it.
Exactly. So it's not just about knowing how to operate the equipment we talked about. It's about demonstrating that you're invested in the future of the industry. What are some ways our listener can stay ahead of the game?
Trade publications are a great starting point. Things like Sugar e Azúcar, they provide a global perspective, while International Sugar Journal, it delves into the tech side of things, attending industry conferences or webinars. Those are gold.
Knowledge is power, right? Speaking of which, our listener is curious about preparing for those leadership-focused questions, especially as they gain experience.
Love it. So let's say the interviewer throws this one out there. How do you manage a team of sugar refinery operators? You'll want to emphasize those leadership qualities. Clear communication, effective delegation, the ability to motivate a team, especially in a fast-paced, high-stakes environment like a sugar refinery.
Because it's easy to say you're a team player, but how can you really demonstrate that through a concrete example?
This is where those star stories come in handy. Situation, task, action, result. Think about a time when you had to guide a group toward a common goal. Maybe in a previous job, a volunteer role, even a group project back in school. Describe the situation, the challenges you faced, the actions you took to lead the team, and most importantly, the positive outcomes you achieved.
Show, don't tell. All right, this next question is interesting. How do you ensure cost-effectiveness in the sugar refining process while maintaining quality standards? It seemed like a bit of a balancing act, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure. It's a challenge that every sugar refinery faces. To nail this question, you need to demonstrate a grasp of both the big picture optimizing production to reduce waste, for instance, and the smaller details like ensuring equipment is properly maintained to prevent costly breakdowns. It's all connected.
Connecting those dots between the small details and the larger goal of cost effectiveness. And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can be a real asset, am I right?
100%. The AI can analyze your response, make sure you're highlighting the most relevant skills and experience for this specific role in this specific industry. It's like having a personalized career coach, available 24/7.
Okay, on to a question that often throws people for a loop. Describe a time you had to deal with a difficult situation at work. How did you handle it, and what was the outcome? It feels like this one has the potential to go sideways, if you're not careful.
You're right. This one requires a delicate touch. The key is to choose an example where you successfully navigated a challenging situation, one that highlights your problem-solving skills, your professionalism. Focus on the actions you took, the positive outcome, rather than dwelling on the negative aspects or pointing fingers.
So instead of saying, my coworker was a nightmare and I had to pick up their slack,
Yes.
you might say something like,
Exactly. A better approach would be, I noticed a colleague was struggling to meet a deadline, and it was impacting the team's progress. I offered my support, and together we came up with a plan to get the project back on track. In the end, we not only met the deadline, but we exceeded expectations. It was a valuable lesson in teamwork and communication.
turning a potential negative into a positive. I like it. Okay, this next question is a bit more forward-looking. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to express enthusiasm for the role at hand, but how do you answer authentically about your future aspirations?
It's about finding that sweet spot between ambition and realism. You might say something like, in 5 years, I see myself as a highly skilled sugar refinery operator, proficient in all aspects of the process. I'm eager to take on more responsibility, maybe even mentor newer team members. And ultimately, I want to contribute to a company that values continuous improvement and innovation in the sugar industry.
Shows you're in for the long haul, thinking about your growth within the company's context. Well done. What's next?
This one seems simple, but it's crucial to get right. Why are you interested in working for this company specifically? Generic answers won't cut it here.
Time to hit the books, or in this day and age, the company website.
Exactly. Go beyond the About Us section, dig deeper. Have they won any awards for sustainability? Invested in cutting-edge technologies? Are they involved in their community? These details show you're genuinely interested, not just looking for any job.
Finding those points of connection that make you a good fit for their culture. Speaking of fit, let's talk about stress. How do you handle stress and pressure? It's a question that comes up a lot, but it seems especially relevant in a 24/7 operation like a sugar refinery, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. My advice, be authentic. If you thrive under pressure, own it. If you rely on organization and clear communication to manage stress, highlight those strategies.
It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about knowing your strengths and how they align with the demands of the role.
Exactly. You could say, I understand that sugar refining is a demanding field, often requiring quick thinking and problem solving. I personally handle pressure by staying organized, prioritizing tasks, and communicating clearly with my team.
That right there demonstrates an understanding of the work environment while showcasing those valuable coping mechanisms. Okay, how about this one? Tell me about a time you failed. What did you learn from it?
It almost feels like they're asking for a way to disqualify us, doesn't it?
Not at all. This question is designed to assess your self-awareness, your capacity for growth. Choose an example where you made a genuine mistake. We all do it. But focus on the lessons you learned, how you grew from the experience.
Vulnerability with a purpose. What would be a good example of an answer for this one? Let's say you misjudged the timing of a process, leading to a slight delay. You could say, I once miscalculated the time needed for a particular batch to properly crystallize, which caused a minor setback in the production schedule. I realized I'd become a bit complacent and hadn't double-checked the calculations as carefully as I should have. From that experience, I learned the importance of paying meticulous attention to detail, even for seemingly routine tasks. I even implemented a double-checking system with colleagues to prevent similar errors from happening again.
Accountability, a commitment to improvement. Those are valuable qualities in any field. Okay, let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
Let's tackle that salary question. You know the one. What are your salary expectations? It's always a bit of a tightrope walk, isn't it? Balancing your worth with staying competitive.
You're telling me. It's about finding that sweet spot. Before you even step foot in the interview room, do your homework. Research typical salaries for sugar refinery operators in your area.
Websites like Glassdoor or salary.com, those are always good resources. But what if they push for a specific number? How do you handle that?
Don't be afraid to deflect gracefully. You can say something like, I'm flexible and open to discussing a salary that aligns with my experience and the responsibilities of this specific role.
Keeps the conversation going without boxing yourself in. Smart. Okay, now for the question that often trips people up at the end of an interview. Do you have any questions for us? It's not just about filling the silence, right?
Absolutely not. This is your chance to shine, to show them you've done your research and you're genuinely interested. Think about questions that demonstrate you've gone beyond just skimming their website.
So what kind of questions are we talking about? Give us some examples.
You could ask, what are some of the ways your company is addressing the growing demand for sustainably sourced sugar? Or maybe, what opportunities for professional development and advancement are available within the company?
Those are great. They show you're thinking long-term about growth and industry trends.
Exactly. And you can even make it a bit more personal. Try asking, what do you personally find most rewarding about working here?
Nice. It shifts the focus from what the company can do for you to what you can contribute to the team. Now, before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about RoleCatcher, their Get Discovered feature. How exactly does that work?
It's pretty cool, actually. It flips the script on traditional job hunting. Instead of you chasing after jobs, employers come to you.
Intriguing. Tell me more.
You create a profile on RoleCatcher, highlighting your skills and experience, and then get this, companies actively searching for those skills can discover you.
So it's like having your own personal recruiter working for you 24/7. That's amazing.
Exactly. It's a game changer, especially in a competitive job market. It significantly increases your visibility and helps you connect with companies that are a perfect match for your skill set.
This deep dive has been incredibly insightful. We've covered so much ground, from the ins and outs of being a sugar refinery operator to acing those all-important interview questions. And with platforms like RoleCatcher leveraging the power of AI, you can really fine-tune your approach and boost your confidence.
Remember, preparation is key. Take the time to understand the industry, the specific role you're after, and what unique skills and experiences you bring to the table. And don't forget to let that passion for the world of sugar refining shine through.
We hope this deep dive has given you the knowledge and confidence to succeed. Good luck with those interviews. Remember, sometimes the sweetest rewards come from embracing the challenges. We'll see you next time for another exciting deep dive into the world of work.